March 19th, 2018. So see this map behind me? They're all the places I've had the fortune to travel. 7 countries over 6 months. England, Wales, Spain, Gibraltar, Portugal, France and Belgium. And it all started in Perth, Australia. So we flew from Perth to London via Dubai. Oh yeah, and we also kind of missed our flight. So we finally got to London where we would spend the night and then fly off to Spain the following morning. So we would stay in Spain for 4 days. And my brother was testing for a racing team in Jerez, hence why we were there. And Spain is weird. Like, weird. But the cool thing about Spain is on the southern tip there's this little British exclave called Gibraltar. And there's a rock and there's some monkeys and it's pretty cool. So we crossed the border and we spent the day there.
Oh my God.
See ya! I highly recommend it. And by the end of the day, we were flying back to England where we would spend a further 2 weeks. So we'd spend a further 2 weeks in England, mainly in Bradford, Avon and Bath. And then on the 12th of April, we hit up Portugal. Spend 6 days in Portugal, mainly staying in Estoril and Lisbon. Now, remember my brother from Jerez? Now, he was racing for a team that was racing in a European competition. And it's a pretty big deal. He was only 17 at the time, and he was racing in a televised series.
Front of the field this year for Callum Williams. He's been working very hard over the winter to sort the deal with the Fortec team for the campaign.
So that's why we were going to Europe to follow him around. So he came 10th and 11th, and by Sunday the racing was over. Now on Monday we had a day off, so we went and visited Lisbon. Now Lisbon is Portugal's capital, and it's pretty amazing. It's pretty clean, it's pretty well laid out, and one cool thing is all the street art. Now as you're like going through the city, you can see various like street arts that have been like incorporated into the buildings, and it really builds to the life of the city. So overall, Portugal was a really good experience. I really enjoyed visiting it, and overall, apart from the UK, it was probably my favourite country in Europe. So by that, we flew back to England and we'll be staying there for about 3 weeks. Now the reason I was heading over to England was to play cricket for a team in Somerset. So basically while I was there, I was either playing, training or travelling. And then I had to do school online, but that's another story. So after 3 weeks in England, sort of travelling all over the place, on the 1st of May, we're going to France. Landed in Marseille, and then we took the 1.5 hour drive to Toulon, and then for the rest of the day we sort of looked around Toulon. But for the following 4 days we would be staying mostly at Ricard, which is where my brother would be racing, just like he did in Estoril. But with the weather in France, wasn't exactly great. There was lots of rain, there was a few thunderstorms, and it sort of ruined the experience, but I still enjoyed France. But then also the team did put on a good laugh for us. So after my brother had a relatively good weekend, and so did I, on the Sunday we were ready to head back to England. But issue. Big issue.
A strike by French air traffic controllers has intensified on its
We're aware of
second.
the inconvenience that this is
French
causing.
air traffic controllers have gone on strike.
So the day we were scheduled to leave France, the airport we were going to was actually on strike, so all the air traffic controllers weren't there. And by the way, strikes are very common in France. So the air traffic controllers were on strike, there was thunderstorms outside, I nearly got kicked out the airport, so it was all happening. But eventually, after a lengthy delay, we were on a plane and heading back to England. So we're in England and I was back to playing cricket. But we also went to London for a day, so went and saw the main bits, real touristy stuff, and then we took the drive up to Wales. Now we'd be spending 3 days in Wales, mainly seeing our family who lived up in the north. And while we were there, we went to Port Merrion, which is really good. It's like a Italian sort of town, made for some TV series.
We've now arrived at Port Meridian, and we're now in the village. A bit about the village, the real village, the place where The Prisoner was filmed.
The Prisoner, starring Patrick Magoon. Watch this exciting adventure of The Prisoner.
That was pretty good. And then also the drive through Wales. It's incredible. Like all the slate, the mountains, the countryside. Love it. So after spending a few days in Wales, sort of seeing family, on our way back we stopped over at Chester, which is like a small border town, sort of medieval, pretty good. And then we took the drive down back to where we were in England. Now I was truly living the dream. I was travelling Europe and I was playing cricket in England. And through all this like happiness and travelling, it really did have its challenges. I'd been gone from home, Perth, for quite a while now, and I was really starting to miss home. I was starting to miss my friends, I was starting to miss my school, I was starting to miss my dog, and I was really starting to miss my family. And this really was becoming quite stressful and quite anxious for me. And then also one of the sacrifices I had to make with this trip was doing school online, and that happened from the start of the year right through to when I came back. And that was quite challenging, and doing like all this travelling, playing cricket, and then trying to do school online came quite tough. I was failing tests, I was failing assignments, I was really struggling to do work, and it was really coming quite a challenge. But the thing that hurt the most for me was my friendships. Now my friends mean the world to me. And it was really coming quite challenging having to keep in touch, and sort of the main worry for me was that I would come back and everyone would have moved on because I wasn't there, and that was coming quite hard for me, sort of worrying that I would lose all my friendships because of me travelling, and it just showed how much I rated my friends, like how much they meant to me, how much I valued my friendships. And I really sort of treated this like a make or break situation. Sort of, if I came back and all my friends were fine, it was a definite make. But then it could break my friendships being away for this long. And really anyone that knew me at the time would sort of know how stressed I was and how concerned and how much I wanted to come back and sort of really still have my friendships to the same standard they were as I left. Now unfortunately, this wasn't quite the case when I came back. Unfortunately, I did lose sort of some friendships, and I really sort of did struggle to fit back into school, especially with me being away for 6 months. But I am glad because I still do have have some friends, and also my best friend, he stuck around for me, and I'm so grateful for that. So by now, it was late May. We'd sort of stayed in Bath for quite a while. So I'm here in Bath, and it sucked because I had to pay £1 to get in here, and yet in Perth everything's free, and this Starbucks was £3.40. So here's the thing, it's like 28, you look around and it looks about 40. But now it was coming to the time where we'd be heading off and getting ready to go to Belgium. Now I was looking forward to going to Belgium for a few reasons, but the main reason was that I was going to be spending most of my time at Spa. And if anyone knows anything about motor racing, is that one of the most significant and most historic tracks is Spa. And I was really lucky because I actually had the fortune to walk this track, like all 7 kilometers of it. And it was really good because I got to sort of be behind the scenes with Fortec, and I was also really enjoying making a film for my brother on Spa. So here's the film I made. So that's like him there. There's the film I made. I'll link that down below, and please watch it. So I was really enjoying Spa, and my brother was doing quite well. He had his 2 best races at Spa. In the first one, he actually stalled on the grid.
Away we go, it's a jump start from Leonard Hugenboom further back, and Callum Williams has stalled on the grid, sadly, so the Fortec driver stranded trying to get up to speed.
But then he actually made a really good comeback and finished 7th, so from being last to 7th was a really good effort by him. And then the Sunday, the day after, he came about 8th, so that was really good from his point of view. Now on our last day in Belgium, we would be going to Brussels. Brussels is the capital. We just had a day there before we'll be flying out that afternoon, and it's really nice because we went to this really good Italian place, and then we mainly stayed around the EU and sort of not quite central Brussels, but it's really good. It's quite a bit of a smaller capital compared to most countries, but it's really clean and really well laid out as well. So by then, we're heading back off to England, and with it only being a 20-minute flight, we had lunch in Belgium and then dinner in England, almost like we never left. by now it was early June and we only had a month left in the UK or being away. And in this time we went up north to Durham. We went to Brighton. Which was a really nice place, really recommend that. And then also we celebrated my brother's 18th in Bath.
Brilliant. Do you mean to be?
We had some family over and it was really nice. And by the end of all this, it was July and we'll be heading back home to Perth.
Yeah.
So that's it. I was back in Perth and after being away for 6 months, I was back. And there's a few things that I really did learn about this trip. Not only about myself, but also life. And that was just sort of putting in things into perspective really. That was sort of like the main lesson I learned. Was that like when you can, like was with my friendships. Like I valued my friends before I left, but I even valued them more now. Because you just, like, after you're away with something, you really learn the significance of them. And I'm really glad I got to see that, especially, like, with my dog and, like, my family as well, and with my brother who's moved over there. You sort of really learn about, like, how important they are. And when they're, like, here and you're there with them all the time, you can sort of lose sight of that. And then also, like, with school. Now, I've actually left school. But, like, you really learn... like that it's really not so bad, especially when you do things online and there are a lot more challenges presented to you. So I'm really glad I actually got to do that aspect of school, like doing it online, and that was really a significant sort of impact and view on me leaving and going to like film school essentially. So that was my trip. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'm hoping I can do many more. I'm really glad I actually got to do this video. I've been wanting to do it for so long now, and I'm glad I've finally done it. So thank you, and that's it.